Welcome
It's an
back, everybody,
excellent
to another
pose.
episode of Comics Della Morte, episode 97 with MechaTon and the creators, Wells and Dalton. And if you guys remember, Dalton, I believe he was on in the 80s episodes. I can't remember which one, but we have Wells with us now. He couldn't make us make it the last time.
No, I
So
could not.
welcome back and welcome for the first time.
Yeah,
Well,
glad
hey,
to be
thanks
on.
for
Glad
having
you.
me.
Yeah.
It's
Not a
good to be
problem.
back.
Yeah. So with Wells, since you're new to the show, just talk a little bit about yourself and how you and Dalton first met to even start doing comics in the first place.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Wells Thompson. I'm a comic writer, originally from Arkansas, living now in Chicago, Illinois. Met Dalton at the impressionable young age of 20, I believe, 19 or 20.
Has it been 10 years? Oh my God.
This is a 10-year-old friendship.
Oh, Christ.
Which means that statistically it's for life.
Don't be throwing numbers at me. Don't threaten me with numbers.
That's the scariest thing of all. Math. No, we met in college. Originally, actually, his wife introduced us. His then girlfriend, now wife, introduced us, and then we discovered that we were in some of the same classes, some writing classes, screenwriting and fiction. And we really quickly realized that if we weren't the best too in any given class that we were in, we were definitely up there. We were definitely right next to each other. It was like you, me, and Taylor were always the standouts. And Taylor is a brilliant poet, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, we recognized that in each other, and after college ended, we kept in touch and eventually decided that we wanted to start working on some stuff together. Had some ideas, started making comics, started going to conventions to sell those comics, and now we have made just so much wasted paper in the pursuit of art.
Right.
So many
Thank
books
God
in my
for Google
basement.
Docs.
Thank God for Google Docs. Amen. Yeah, no,
So
that is the
ahead.
Cliff Notes. I was going to say that's the Cliff Notes version of us, of me, and how we met.
Gotcha.
And this is
so
my
when
cat
you
Noodle.
guys, awesome, hi Noodle. So with you guys both being co-writers and everything, do you feel that both of you have strong points like, okay, I could write a better dialogue or I could write a better action scene? Or do you guys feel that you're both in the same area?
My back hurts from carrying this asshole so long. I kid. No. We both have our strengths and weaknesses for sure.
I think it started off definitely clearer that we had very clearly defined strengths, very clearly defined weaknesses. Dalton was much better at dialogue, much better at generally writing characters and plot and like having, your big scenes. And I was a lot better at figuring out the theme, figuring out what the core of the story was, and structuring it to make sure it gets where it needs to go.
Gotcha.
And working together and just naturally, the more you write, the better you get. So we've really gotten to a point where we can, take over and do everything if we need to, but we still work together just because it's a lot of fun to work with one of your, best friends on stuff. And
it's a free editor.
And I don't have to pay an editor a lot of the time.
And at this point, you guys probably know how to buff each other's strengths. That's key. No matter if you got two heads, always have an editor. But with you guys, since now you guys work so many books with each other, you could probably put like, okay, I have an idea of a story. I'm going to be able to write this much, but because I know how he's going to finish it. Because now you guys know based off of your strengths on what you guys are great at and can't be. In a sense,
generally we don't.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Are you still try to challenge each other?
Oh, absolutely. We challenge each other constantly. But I think it's more like, hey, I have this idea, and like, when I have an idea, I have a pretty good handle on it most of the time, on like generally where it's going to go and what it's like. I could work on it myself, but a lot of times I bring it to Dalton so that he can go, oh, that's really cool, and then you'll do this, and I go, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna steal that. Yeah, it's almost more we're bringing it to the other just so that they can like put their own spin on it and show us how it can be even better. Is a lot of the time what it winds up being, rather than
Wells will tend to bring like he'll be like, okay, here's my idea. He has a rough outline. He's like, here's what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'll come to Wells with an idea, and I have 13 scripts already written, and I'll be like, is this good? And Wells will be like, screw you, dude. I don't know.
Okay, look, I have a problem with issue 2, and that persists for the rest of the series. Like, you're gonna have to change the rest of the series because of this thing that happens in issue 2. And he's like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
How do you have this much energy? I can't.
Oh no,
I am a very one script at a time kind of writer, and he is. I want to do the whole thing.
You're like, you give him an idea, and he's like, message you at 3 a.m. in the morning. I got like a 20-page script.
No, it's like I've got 4 20-page scripts, and I wrote a short film, and I started to improvise and create costumes so that we could have storyboards.
Yeah, but we don't ever like finish each other's scripts. It's usually every single time somebody does a full draft, and then the other will come in and either edit that draft or write an entirely new draft, and then we kind of make a combo script out of that. So usually about 3 drafts, and it's good. But
that tends to be the sweet spot.
But we definitely kind of, especially in that first draft, even though we're writing the whole thing, we'll make notes in it like, I don't think this area is as strong, needs work in an area that like maybe I would have a better idea on, or Wells would. Like if it's dragging a little bit in the middle, he'll be like, oh hey, here, Dalton, how do we get this to move faster, or if it's just or if it's going too fast, and Wells is like, okay, we need to slow this down. This is everywhere now. So yeah.
So I know I asked Dalton the question, but what made you want to like start doing comics for like not just a hobby, but for a career on the side? Like, were you always keen on that, or is this something you
I held him at gunpoint.
Got older.
Yeah, I professionally, like, the comics came after the professional.
Gotcha.
I didn't want to write comics for fun and then decide to do it later. I wanted to be a writer, and that's what I've wanted to do since I was like 14. Is I want to be a writer, and that's taken the form of wanting to be a novelist. That's taken the form of wanting to be a screenwriter, and eventually I just had a conversation with myself like, you're good at writing books, but no one wants to read a book, or no one wants to buy your book.
Yeah.
So what is working right now is the comics. People are buying the comics at conventions. People are interested online. Let's go full on into that. And so, yeah, I've been writing comic scripts for 4 or 5 years, and I haven't looked back.
It's way more fun than novels.
Awesome.
It's way quicker, for sure. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Prose is exhausting.
So with you guys, and like if everybody haven't seen, they did the Frankenstein Uncharted. Was that the name of the
Frankenstein the Unconquered?
I read that. Frankenstein Uncharted.
Yeah.
I would love to see Nathan Drake as an undead monster.
Frankenstein discovering Sir Francis Drake's tomb. That would be amazing. Frankenstein the Unconquered. That's our other ongoing series that we run in parallel.
I have the link to your website. Like, I have the link to the website where you could buy that down below. Everybody got to check it out. I really like the book. But let's get to the MechaTon, and what made you guys want to start this project in the first place?
Well, this has been one of Dalton's passion projects for a really long time. And it's sort of a mismatch of a bunch of stuff that we love. Pretty much, ironically, pretty much everything except for like horror movies is kind of in this. It's a lot of like, but sort of in the theme of that, I guess, is like stuff that you watched as a kid that maybe you shouldn't have. So everything but, you know, the horror is in that. You get a little bit of like, you know, your Toonami, your late night run with Dragon Ball Z and whatnot. You get your Scott Pilgrim. You get like your Godzilla and your big kaiju and tokusatsu properties. Transformers, things like that, just and video games, you know. Playing video games till 3 a.m. is definitely a core component of what makes MechaTon tick.
Yeah, I mean, find a way to make, you just gotta find a way. But definitely, like you were saying, I really whole Toonami feel to it, because I can, you know, the and you know, Power Rangers, and it just really has that nice feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was super intentional. We love those properties. And we love that, like, I don't want to call it nostalgia bait or anything, but like I just genuinely love the kind of corny feel of like the old Power Rangers and how everything, you know, it's so obviously, oh, it's a big monster. It's just a dude in a cardboard box. And it's so great. I love the look of it.
Right.
And that was, I think, the first compliment that.
So how long would you guys say it took to write the script?
To write the finished version of the first script,
10 years.
Yeah,
I was gonna say to get the idea to where it is now, 10 years. To write the first script, I think it took, I don't know, like a week or two to finish the first script, and then like a month later, you know, we had argued to the point where we had it down, because it kind of grew and shrunk and we couldn't exactly figure out what the first script was supposed to contain and really embody. There were a lot of revisions on this one to try and get it to a place that we liked, but we were really happy with where it ended up. So yeah, it's the modern version, the modern iteration we started working on right after we did Descent into Dread. So like, you know, November, December of or something like that of 2020, and then we had it on Kickstarter like May of 2021.
Gotcha. Yeah, it definitely is one of those things. Like even looking at that screen panel right there, it definitely screams like old school Power Rangers, or just like anything like you would see like with mangas or anything with giant robots and monsters fighting.
For sure.
And like the artwork, you could definitely tell it's expired. You know, takes place during that time of period where everyone's like, okay, it has to be like this type of blocky hands, or
one of the things I really love about that era of like Cartoon Network and Toonami is that like the animation look on every show looks like completely different and very distinct in a way that you could tell it was on Cartoon Network, but like extremely eclectic at the same time. And it gave the shows a lot of personality, and I really was drawn to that with Fernando's style. There's clearly a manga influence to it, to his characters and to his action and stuff, but it's distinctly not that at the same time. So I absolutely love it.
So with you guys writing this story and everything and coming up with the characters, like what did you feel that was the part that you loved most about writing this? Was it like trying to write how the robot suit was found, or like writing the different monsters? Because you know, it's fun to create monsters, even if it's like horror or sci-fi.
Absolutely, it's fun to create monsters. Honestly, my favorite part of writing these books is the characters, is the relationship between Leah and Leah and Derek, and Leah and Hex, and the fact that Hex hates Derek, and just like getting those dynamics is so much fun. But coming up with the big action set pieces is great as well. I have a great time trying to figure out what weapons the mechs are going to have, because they adapt. So the shtick is anything they punch with the glove on turns into a mech. So that mech that we're looking at right now is made out of a hot dog cart. So its weaponry is
Oh,
derived
that's
from
cool.
that. It
Yeah.
has a condiment cannon. Yeah, it has a condiment cannon. It has an umbrella shield. It has a brat buster. It's finding out what the mech is and what it can do is such a fun part of the writing process for this.
Yeah, and my favorite things to write are always going to be when two people sit down in a room and talk.
The 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and but no, the action scenes are really where the book really sings in the action scenes, but always the most fun is always just when Derek and Lee are in a room and arguing.
Yeah. No, definitely it's one of those things that, like you were saying, with the mech could turn into anything from the cards. Just remind me of Power Rangers back then. And I wish I remember the show that was on Toonami about this giant robot suit, and they mixed it up with like some type of vehicle. It was blue with flames on it. I wish I remember the show.
So are you thinking Megas XLR?
Definitely. Yes, I think that's what it was. It was on Toonami.
We've been getting that a lot.
Yeah, that was one of those we didn't want it. Like we didn't.
I mean, I was the old guy. I was the old guy at that point watching that because I think,
for sure.
But nothing wrong with that. But
that show is that's exactly what the mech looks like too. Yeah, no. That show is one that I definitely remember. Like I have very vague memories of watching. It's stuck with me clearly because so much of this comic is inspired in some part by that show, but I could not tell you the names of the characters or any specific plot points. I remember there was one episode he's going after like a high score, and it shows the controller and like the D-pad is spinning, and I was always confused as to what controller he was using, where the D-pad can spin like that. But that's the one core memory I have of that show.
Yeah. I don't think I ever watched it.
Yeah. It was fun. It's a good time. That I recall. Anyway. But yeah, no, MechaTon
it was a while back. I didn't remember. Yeah. I know I was... Yeah. So, like, what did you guys... Like, was it hard to come up with the decision on the name of the comic? Because I know sometimes that's a hard thing to come across. Or was that the number one thing you had?
MechaTon just kind of happened.
Well, a funny story. When I brought it to Wells, MechaTon was already firmly in place. But, so MechaTon's genesis point is like 10 years ago. And when me and my buddy were spitballing the whole concept... Oh, hello there.
What's up, Mr. Jason Alexander? How you doing?
How's it going? Don't mind me. I'm just gonna drop in, but y'all continue right where you are.
Please.
So we had written out a brief outline of the series, and at that point, I think we had just like tentatively titled it Power Glove or something. And I had written the first script.
I name it that because Nintendo Power Glove was horrible.
Yeah. We knew it couldn't stay Power Glove, but we couldn't think of anything else. And we had the first script, and then I think it was either 2014 or 2015. Oni Comics was like, for the first time in a long time, opening up submissions again. And they were wanting to take pitches of, like, you didn't have to have a writer or an art team with you. You could just submit a pitch, and they would consider it, and you could get published. And I was like, oh, we have to send in MechaTon. That's great for Oni. It's great. And at that point, we were like, well, what do we call it then? We can't send in a thing that says Power Glove. So I agonized for weeks trying to find a name for this thing. And I think I just like popped in name generators. I was just like watching anime. I was trying my damnedest to think of a name. And then I think it just like fell into my lap one Sunday where I was trying to bash my head against a wall, and I was like, oh, MechaTon. Duh. And then deleted Power Glove.
I think originally, I think it was originally like MechaTon Glove or something. It was like the full title, and then someone at some point was like, "That's really clunky. Glove
That's
off
bad.
Glove. Just call it MechaTon." Yeah.
Move some of this out.
Lord.
Did you get a chance to look over the comic, buddy?
Yeah, I got a chance to peek at it. I didn't get it till this evening, so
Jason.
It's been pretty crazy over here.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Life is wild.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm a sucker for high action artwork. Like it's.
Oh yeah.
Fernando's
I don't
great.
know.
So you're right in our You're right in our target demographic.
Like it calls to me pretty quickly. So
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to see punching, and I don't care how we get there. Perfect. Let's go.
Right. So with you guys, like, how did you come across this new artist? Like, were you doing forums or how
God.
That
yeah.
Because I know
finding Fernando was a trial, was a major pain. Not Fernando specifically, just the process of trying to find an artist on this particular comic, because we were demanding a lot. There's a lot of we knew we wanted a specific style that was, very cartoony and expressive, and
it's
maybe
very
a little bit manga, but
I dig it.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of fits that mold. And we had a budget, and we didn't know that many people. And so when you want something specific and you have a budget and you don't know anyone, you don't have a lot
on
of ways
Twitter
to find
for days.
So yeah, we trolled through Twitter and Instagram, and we actually hired 2 or 3 separate artists to try and do MechaTon, and they all backed out for various reasons. And couldn't do the project, or decided they didn't want to after all, or couldn't commit to it, whatever the case may be. And we discovered Fernando as a potential cover artist for the story. Someone suggested him to do a cover. And the more I looked at his backlog, he has a webcomic called Gun Punch. He's done a bunch of other comics before, and I just noticed he had this really dynamic, interesting way that he drew action. And so eventually I was just like, Dalton, I think this might be our guy. And Dalton said no. And then I said, shut up. I'm gonna ask him. And then he started drawing it, and Dalton was like, I see it now. I get it.
Yeah.
That's teamwork.
I didn't have the vision.
Yeah.
There you go. That's it.
So yeah, he was a much harder find originally than Mary was for Frankenstein the Unconquered. She was our first choice, and she loves being on the project.
It helped that we had worked with him before on Descent to Dread.
Exactly, we had that connection prior, so it was a lot easier to get her in. But yeah, and then finding the rest of the everyone on the creative team of that book was a major challenge to find, except for the letterer, except for Nathan Kempf, who we got suggested through one of my connections in the comic industry through Comic Book Yeti. They were just like, oh, you should talk to this guy. He's a really good letterer. And he was great. He immediately was hitting us with really interesting ideas and really cool visuals for the sound effects and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta have the sound effects with this type of book.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
looking at the
I bet
art,
that was just fun in the first place, trying to find that story.
It reminds me of that early 2000s DC
Tsunami.
Those early 2000s DC space stories, like every once in a while, like they would be in the Watchtower moon base, like that. It's got that same flavor. Like I'm very excited to read, to like sink my teeth into it. I really am.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there is some level of nostalgia that is going to hit most people reading this book, unless you're like just born fully fresh into the world. And even like at a, I'm trying to remember which convention. I think it was Planet Comic Con in Kansas City. I had a booth and was selling this book, and this little kid, probably 6 or 7 years old, was in a full Flash costume, like had the lightning bolts on his ears and everything, and like muscles, and just kind of going around like, "What's your comic about?" And I explained it to him, and he picked it up, and he ran to his dad and said, "Dad, this is a super awesome comic about a glove that turns anything it punches into a transformer. I want it." And I was like, this is the greatest moment of my life.
He did your elevator pitch for you.
Yeah, no, but just seeing that kid, even him, like immediately he was like, "Oh, this is Transformers. I got this. I know this. I love this." So I think it does hit some level of nostalgia with most people. Yeah, so
you can make them relate to it, that you got them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which is
then they'll come along for any ride we take them on.
Absolutely.
Almost all of our covers are homages to something. We have the Super Metroid homage cover. We've got the Transformers homage cover. Fantastic Four #1.
Green Lantern.
We have the Green Lantern one. We have the Spider-Man one. Yeah. So we try and constantly show where our influences on our sleeve in that way.
I think that's what I want to do. Like, one of the things I want to do with any comic that I create is I don't really want a cover that tells the whole story. I want a cover that speaks to why I write stories, whether it's a CD cover or an album cover or a VHS cassette tape that I remember watching as a kid. Like, because if you can connect their eye, that makes our job as writers that much easy. You know what I mean? Like, even if you catch them, you get them off balance, right? Like, even if it's not what you're here for. You know, I did a story about my upbringing as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, but I did the Infinity Gauntlet cover. You know what I mean? So that connects that, not necessarily in a direct way, but now I got you off balance enough to listen. And so now we'll connect. You know what I mean? Like, you like it, I like it. Now let's talk about something else. Like, now let's see what else we have a common ground on.
Yeah,
like absolutely.
That's what we do. Like, that's why we do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. I mean, your comic could be great. Your comic could be great, but if the front cover isn't like selling and drawing your attention, no one's going to pick it up. You know,
absolutely. Which is a hard lesson that we've had to learn a couple times.
Yeah. I can't tell you how often I go through previews and there's like all these brand new #1s from Image, and I'm like, pass, because the cover isn't cool. I'm like, I need to be engaged. Like, comics are like the bastard children of art and commerce. Like, you gotta
it's the experience.
Sell
Absolutely.
it.
Yep.
And
it's the experience.
I wish I wasn't like that, but I read so much. I'm like, I need you to catch me real quick here.
Right. I'll try your catch up with steak, but you gotta you gotta get me into it first. You know?
You got to tell me it's a weird ketchup. Or is it purple? Is it purple ketchup? Yeah. Now I'm interested. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
Right. Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day, the purple ketchup. Yeah.
Yeah. Easy squeeze.
Yeah. They give us anything like that. They would give us absolutely anything. Oh my goodness.
Right.
We went for it too, buddy. Like, we never missed. You know, like,
rip in peace.
Sugar with dipping a sugar stick in it. Sure. I'm there, like, all day. Let's do it.
Oh yeah.
Give me 4 flavors. Okay, I'm in even more.
Oh God.
Sorry, y'all. I'm totally.
No, you just
with the comic. What do you guys? No, it's all right, buddy.
Okay. What about the comic?
I think we've got a delay.
I was going to say, besides the comic, what other things you're going to be selling?
So we
got selling keychains, stickers.
Right. We got
with a comic like this, you could definitely make trading cards for.
Oh, for sure.
We have trading cards.
We have done trading cards in the past. We're doing those more as like stretch goals now, rather than just off the bat. But we have stickers. We have we have all the other books that we've written and made before. We have tons of covers and foil covers. You can buy a page of the comic. You can get a commission from the artist. I would love to do more like little material things like that. We have some prints as well.
Glove as a keychain would be great.
Ooh,
but
that would be so nice. We just need we need a bigger base to be able to draw from. We have some really cool prints as well of let me show you.
Yeah, I don't know how much it's cost. I would have to ask my one of our friends that we've had on the show.
We got this guy.
Like, oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
that is
the Serge Acuna did that one. Yeah, sort of a DBZ standoff kind of thing.
Yeah, look at
I
that.
love the hell out of it. That one's
That is
available
so
for $15.
What?
We also
That's a steal. That's awesome.
And then we have
that is a big
one
steal.
we have one that's I got another one right here. Oh. Sort of a chibi version of all the characters hanging out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
By Bet Kubrick. And I will have to
so
put these up later because they are difficult to wrangle. Oh. But yeah, we got tons of stuff.
That's awesome. Like, I don't know how to go about doing it. I would have to ask my one of our friends that we had on the show. I could definitely, like, she has pop figures for her comics. You would definitely do a great job if you had a pop for like mech or one of the monsters. Like, I could see people wanting to get an original design of a pop figure of your MechaTon. I just don't know how
there's
to do that.
yeah, there's the trick is, especially with MechaTon, is having to dial back on the amount of like rewards and add-ons and stretch goals and things, because like we would love to have a glove keychain, or like we've even talked about like little mech figures of the hot dog cart, but like it just becomes so exorbitantly expensive that we have to really dial it back. Like we've even the idea of we wanted to do like a MechaTon, the MechaTon glove user manual, like a blueprint kind of thing, like a little like 4-5 page thing, but
almost like the zombie survival handbook.
Yeah, but like even then, that's printing basically a whole other mini comic. Like it's when you're doing self-publishing and something like Kickstarter, that's always the barrier to.
Yeah, the cost will eat you up, absolutely.
Yep.
And
yeah, that's probably the thing with a lot of people from Kickstarter don't realize that. Versus like so many tiers. Those tiers are gonna make sure I'm shipping. This person gets this variant cover number 2. This one gets a variant cover number 3. What's this and this? And you're just running around like a chicken with your head, making sure everybody's getting their tiers. So definitely in the beginning, I think a lot of new people shouldn't do that at first, unless they have the people to help them with it.
I mean, I do all the shipping myself pretty much. So it does get a little bit overwhelming, but I have a pretty good system where I can usually get it all shipped out. If it's a particularly big campaign, it takes me a couple days. But the last MechaTon campaign took me just, I think, a single day of that's all I was doing was just shipping stuff, and we got it all out the next day.
Okay, so I gotta ask. I remember, like, I just did my comic, and I'm very proud of it. But it was something I needed to tell immediately. But it was the only one that I ever like physically printed and had copies of and mailed them out. Is it not crazy to like take your book to the post office and like send it to somebody who wants to read it? Like,
yeah, no, it's wild.
I'm just staring at all the addresses, and I'm like, all my artwork and my story is going to exist like in so many different places, and I got to do every bit of it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So imagine having like, how many was it? It was like 150 of these in the back of your car, and slipping on some ice and dropping all of them all over yourself.
Oh man!
That's what was happened. It was like the middle of January, so in Chicago, so everything was just frozen. But
in Chicago. I'm in Maine, so
got a little
we get
bit
frozen up here too.
So yeah, that was my first.
I'm in
Florida
now, actually from St. Louis, so I know about that.
You know about that? Okay, all right, okay.
I lived in St. Louis. St. Louis is not too far away from Chicago.
Yeah, St. Louis is a lot closer to Little Rock, where I'm from, than it is to Chicago.
Here we go. Shots fired.
Oh God. Yeah, no, but it's the most rewarding thing in the world.
Well, you got anything else to ask, Jason?
Yeah.
Nah, man, I'm a happy camper, dude.
For sure.
I'm glad I got to get on because I don't know. You guys seem like a blast. Just having internet trouble here for some reason because it's so cold. It's so cold tonight. Like not like not like in Florida, Ronnie. It's freezing over here. No, I'm joking.
No, it's snowing. It is snowing like crazy.
It's hot down here.
Oh God. Yeah, no, this book means a lot to us, and we're happy to be getting it out. We're about halfway through little over halfway through the campaign, getting close to 60% funded. So we still need a lot of help to get there.
All right.
Hoping to get some newbies on board.
We'll do what we can to spread the word.
Absolutely. Appreciate.
Seems like a valid book. I'm definitely gonna read it. Where are you guys on Instagram?
I'm in a bunch of Discord, so I'll be in it there.
Absolutely. We are most active on Twitter.
They got Twitters. I know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's you can see it on our name at Wells Thomp, at Dalton K. Shannon. We're trying to be more active on Instagram. We're starting to pick up some of the other socials because Twitter is something of a trash fire right now.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully we'll be.
My Twitter was I got banned from my Twitter, and I was just posting horror pictures.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks. Well, yeah, no, absolutely. Right. And then
so now we're pretty much into, and anyone who's live or watching afterwards, all the links are down below in the description for both of their Twitters, for Wells's website, and the link to the Kickstarter.
Absolutely.
So now we're about 37 minutes in. Dalton, I've already asked you these questions, but you could talk any exchange then. But Wells, since this is also a horror show, how big of a horror fan are you? Like,
I love horror.
Like, you wrote Frankenstein, so you have to have some type of horror.
Yeah. No, horror is.
So what would be your favorite horror movie?
Very in my wheelhouse. I love horror movies. I love horror comics. I just got done reading Witches by Scott Snyder very recently, which I love the hell out of. Yeah, it's a great book. Favorite horror movie? Oh man, you're making me pick children here. Let's see. Alien comes to mind as one that I just always come back to. That one's truly great. Let's see. In terms of slashers, it's Scream. That one's my favorite slasher for sure. It's eminently watchable and entertaining, and does so much with its premise. Let's see what else. Recently, I watched. It's not even really a horror movie, but The Lighthouse. Just got me.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
it's so good, and it scared. It honestly affected me and scared the shit out of me. Watched Hereditary and Midsommar. Those were creepy as hell.
I haven't seen Hereditary yet.
Hereditary is brutal. It is a hard film.
I walked out.
It is legitimately difficult to watch. One of my favorite underrated horror movies, I'll say, is the Evil Dead remake. I think that movie is sick.
The remake,
I love the shit out of it.
All right, Ronnie, we can wrap it up now. I'm good now.
I watched that movie in the theater, and it was one of the only times I've ever wanted to turn away from the screen, just because I was in.
I'm not an Evil Dead fan. I'm just joking.
No, you're good. The original Evil Deads, I'll say, I'm not going to say they aged badly, but like as I get older, the more I watch them, the more I find it's questionable about them. So I totally understand why someone would be kind of, not anti Walking or Evil Dead, but not necessarily a fan.
It's an iconic franchise. Like, I hope that I make something that somebody hates as much as I hate.
Yeah.
One day,
just to elicit that kind of emotion. That is saying something for sure. Let's see.
You know,
the Babadook.
There's a million trillion people who would disagree with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the Babadook. I thought that was one of the most effective, movies at getting its point across specifically with horror. And people hated the ending of that movie, and I love the hell out of it. It's such a good way to once you understand what the Babadook is and what it's trying to embody, it is really the only satisfying ending in my opinion. Had it actually gone away for good, it would have felt insincere in a lot of ways. But yeah, I don't know. I picking a favorite is very difficult. I think if I have to settle down for one, it's probably Alien, because I can watch that movie forever and ever. And also the director's cut of Alien has 2 scenes in it that never should have been cut. I've seen so many versions of that movie. And also if you can watch it on VHS, you should, because it is somehow even scarier on VHS. With when you can't really make out what the machinery is, everything's a little bit grainy. You don't know where the alien is or when it's going to pop out. It's
first time I watched Alien was on network television with rabbit ears and the little tune in dial on the back of the knob. So
just
I totally
a little staticky. Yeah, just
absolutely.
Everything's in 480p.
Just
Scared the hell out of you.
So, to help now Dalton to come in, is there a horror movie that you watched recently? You're like, okay, that definitely is a great horror movie. Because I know you're saying that you didn't like Hereditary that much, but was there anything that recently that really piqued your interest? Of wow, that was a great movie.
I am not as huge a horror fan. I enjoy. Yeah, I enjoy writing horror to an extent. I like the goofy stuff, like the slashers and the Universal horror monsters and things. So I'm much more of a Halloween guy than I am a Hereditary guy. I don't like to feel uncomfortable in the theater, so I'm not gonna do that. That's why I walked out of Hereditary. I was like, that's a no. I've been watching a lot of if you want to see my headspace, I've been watching a lot of OG Star Trek and having a blast. So horror's not super. I think the last horror movie I saw was Halloween Ends, and that was such a wet dog turd that I am just. It hurt. I think me and my wife are probably going to go see the new Scream, because we liked the last Scream they did. That was fun.
I heard the new one is really good.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah.
We like Scream.
Yeah,
it's a cool.
The Halloween reboot.
I'm into it. It was
Yeah, most definitely. And I just like the new Scream, how it's taking place in New York, and they have the different train tracks shaping the Scream mask. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So with Wells, what would be?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I was going to say, what would slash?
It's this delay.
I was going to say there's a delay. I'm sorry.
I feel like this is an episode of Too Many Cooks. Where the end of us all is going to be, we're going to be here forever, waiting to catch up with each other.
All right, go ahead.
Now, what would be your favorite 80s horror slasher, and why would it be?
Of the 80s horror slashers, it's probably Halloween, I would say. Halloween is the best. It just hits the hardest. It's legitimately creepy. There's so much.
Halloween was 1978, sir.
Okay, well, no one is interested in your goddamn technicalities.
Halloween 2 was the 80s. Thank you.
I'm counting Halloween. So Elm Street is a contender for that. It's corny. It has in a lot of ways more creative kills. But I just love. I like Michael Myers so much as a character and as a film icon. And that movie holds the fuck up, like is still creepy to this day. In a way that like Elm Street definitely has its scares, but it is still, it to me is just a little too cheesy to really hit hard the same way.
Freddy kind of came like Venom, like he became to be scared.
For sure.
Can we give Freddy the symbiote? How has that crossover not happened?
Give Freddy the goddamn yellow ring. He will rule the world.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Wow. They said Marvel was a house of ideas. Like I think we might be on to something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Did y'all ever see
now with Wells, was there
Silent Rage?
Go ahead.
No, buddy. Ronnie, I got the mic. It's my turn. I got something to say.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. But no, did y'all ever see Silent Rage in the 80s? It was like a Chuck Norris movie with this guy who wouldn't. It was this guy he couldn't kill, and this guy, he was like a man, but he was a monster. Like he did everything except for like rip people apart. Like he was just like, it was like a real Hulk. And Chuck Norris's thing, this whole movie was like, he was like kind of like cool sheriff, and he had to chase this guy down. I feel like when I think about that movie now, I feel like it had every markings of a slasher horror, but it's just a Chuck Norris movie. Like, you know what I mean? It's just a big bad guy for Chuck Norris to beat up. And it's just like Chuck Norris walking through a horror movie. But
I mean, all of those like aggressively masculine action movies of the 80s could just be slashers. Like any Schwarzenegger action flick is a slasher. It's just Schwarzenegger's not an inhuman killing machine that wears a mask. He's just an inhuman killing machine.
Right.
Except in Predator where he's the hero somehow.
Yeah, and Predator's just a slasher with Schwarzenegger in it. It's
yeah. Terminator is totally a slasher.
Terminator's a great monster creature feature slasher movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a sci-fi horror movie.
Also, unpopular opinion: Terminator 1 better than Terminator 2.
Yeah, totally.
I like the horror angle much more in Terminator 1 than I do the kind of action.
Yeah, definitely. Terminator 1 had more of a horror element to it.
For sure.
Yeah, Terminator 2, they knew they had a cash cow. It was like, okay.
And it's great. It's fun. It's a good movie.
Same thing with Aliens. You know, Alien, like the first Aliens movie, it had more of a horror element. The second one is more action-packed, and let's bring in all these different stars to bring
and it's great.
In.
To be clear, it is so good.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I like Alien. I'm an Alien guy. I like Alien better.
Yeah. For sure.
It's always better when you're trying to get your attention versus when they know they have your attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now it's like, now give me more. Look, you know what I mean? Like for $5 more, I'll give it to you even better. Like, come on, just tell the same story again.
Yeah. But with Wells, is there a horror movie that you walked out of the theater watching? Or is it like you're not really affected by anything like that?
I walked out of Cloverfield. The original Cloverfield.
Well, that's just because it stinks, not because it makes you uncomfortable.
It gave me a headache. I couldn't keep watching it. I think looking back on it, it's a fine movie, and it is pretty effective in what it's doing. I think it just was a little bit too ambitious in some ways, and a little too devoted to the shtick. You know, I don't need my camera when we're just having a conversation. Nothing is happening, but for some reason,
right?
Just scare me. Like, it doesn't scare me. It makes me nauseous. Like, just scare me one time.
Yeah, for sure. But other than that, I don't think I've ever walked out of a movie for being too scary.
I wanted to walk out of Hostel, but I didn't.
I didn't watch it in the theater. That one I might have walked out of because that is
a little, way gross.
It's a little gross. It's a little too much.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, I think the closest I've ever come to walking out of something is like pause. Is like I was watching The Haunting of Hill House, and I like had to like pause it and walk away for a little bit, because that show is so good, but it scared the shit out of me. But I eventually came back to watch the rest of it because I couldn't keep away. It was ridiculous. Right. I did stop. I stopped playing a game. I stopped playing Amnesia: The Dark Descent because like I went down the elevator into the prison and I ran into the fucking Cenobite down there, and I just like put down the controller or walked away from the keyboard and into the kitchen, and I looked down and I could see my shirt thumping. Because I'm like, yep, that'll do. I was like, I've experienced this game. I don't need more.
In that same vein, in that same vein, one of the greatest moments of my life was when Wells was over at my place and he was trying to.
I forgot about this.
He was trying out the PlayStation VR headset that I had gotten for Christmas, and I had a PlayStation demo disc that had the kitchen demo on it for Resident Evil 7, I think. Mm-hmm. And I had played the demo, and I was like, "Oh crap, I was like, man, this is actually really scary. I would never play this game, but I'm glad I tried out the demo. Like, I would never do this." And then I was like, Wells, you got to try out the kitchen. He's like, what's the kitchen? And I was like, dude, it's a VR demo. Just give it a shot. I think you'll like it. That's all I gave him. He puts the headset on and he's sitting there in front of the TV. And like, I'm watching it go on. And then like over the sound of the television, I'm hearing Wells's breathing start to get heavier and more ragged. And like, you see his hands holding those PlayStation Move controllers start to shake a little bit. And the thing hasn't even happened yet. And then like the hand comes on his shoulder and he rips the headset off and he's like, I'm done.
I just went, nope.
I'm done. It's like, all right, good. All right.
Yeah, that was really creepy. I think it was like the very end of the demo too.
You were right at the end. You were like,
and then just like you can't see her at all. You have no idea what's about to happen, and I'm just like, this is too much. I've reached my limit. I cannot sit here in anxiety anymore. Oh Jesus.
That's awesome.
You gotta know your limits.
Most VR horror games have gotten really out.
For sure.
Would never sit through one of those.
It, the remake they had a VR like gameplay that you could look at on YouTube, and that caught me off guard. Not because the clown was scary; it's just they knew how to do a jump scare really well with the VR.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jump scares hit different when it's you being like you're the one that's right there being jump scared.
Where's the Dead Space VR version? We just got the remake. Where is it for PSVR 2?
No, that would be a fun one. I remember playing that like on the first PlayStation. That was a very scary game.
Mm. Mm-hmm. So
Silent Hill 2
with Wells, I asked the same. Oh yeah, Silent Hill 2 is amazing.
Silent Hill 2 will always be
Silent
my
Hill
horror
2
game.
Is amazing horror game.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories in like all of stories. I love that game in particular. But go ahead. You were asking me a question.
Is there a limit on what you will, book or a horror comic?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? There was a little bit of like in and out.
Like
there.
I know some people get like would what's to your point that you won't write in a horror comic? Like how graphic will you not go? Because I know some people are like, I'll go all out. Some people are like, no, I have a limit.
Sure. I don't like doing like graphic sexual violence in horror. Same. I think that's a little too real, both for a lot of people and for like it just feels cheap. Like to go like, yes, it's horrible and it is like a way of saying that this is the worst thing someone could do. it also feels like it's sort of cheating. You know, and you're going to a place that's a little bit too real for most people.
That being said, I would love to watch Frankenstein tear someone's dick off and beat them to death with
it. Maybe if it was like a centaur or something, absolutely. No, I would like. I will absolutely like draw or watch someone get ripped apart, or like we do all manner of unspeakable things to poor Larry in the Wolfman in Frankenstein. So I think there's definitely, you know, a lot of places that you can go there that are much more effective and much more horrifying than pulling on the, you know, something that is extremely real like that.
We've had enough of that in the past 40 years of fiction anyway.
I hate like your rape revenge narratives.
I've read enough Alan Moore to last a lifetime.
It is honestly that was the thing that made me put down League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Was I was just like, do we need this? Do we need this anymore? No. And same thing with Mark Millar is like I can't keep reading that same beat. It's just it's shocking the first time, and it's just trite after that. I don't like it. So
I think that the stories that have made it to like that immortality level have tackled heavy things with implying more than having to take you through the whole journey.
I was gonna say so there's two things that I would point to in this. One is not horror and one is horror. So the not horror is like is A Song of Ice and Fire. Game of Thrones for people who've only read the thing. There is like in the books in particular, in the show they show a lot more. In the books they do a lot more that is arguably much, much worse, but they don't put you right there to watch it. There's a character in the
if you're doing your job as a writer, you don't need to.
We don't see anything that's done to this character. We just meet her and we see what they've done to her, and she sort of hints at some of the stuff that he's been doing, but she doesn't say it out loud, and we don't have to suffer through watching it or reading or hearing a description of it or anything. And that's enough. We don't need like the whole thing. We see what she is and what she used to be and how it's affected her, and that's enough. We can put the pieces together ourselves. And then the other example I'd say is Alien. Alien is an excellent story that is about that. It's about rape. It's about sexual violence. But it is all coded in metaphor. It is all done with creative visuals and abstracted in a way that it isn't, you know, it takes it away from that place of being like too real and too, you know, viscerally like related to what happens all too often in day-to-day life.
Yep. Yeah, it's like we all know that it happens. Like, but sometimes it's okay to like see like a literal monster get destroyed versus having to like rip through 1,000 million human bodies. You know what I mean? Like, that's about enough. Like, that's a reality and a possibility every day.
For sure.
Because me and Jason, we were reviewing, because sometimes we do comic book reviews on the show. We haven't done it in a while, just because we've had a lot of awesome guests on the show, like you guys, and awesome books. But we stopped halfway through one of Clive Barker's Hellraiser comics, just because it was getting too graphic. You know, like the movies Hellraisers are graphic, but the comic itself, he went all out, you know, with the whole like a monster like destroying its child, just a lot of stuff that I was like, okay, that's just way too much.
There was totally a moment like on one of the shows where I just said to Ronnie, I'm like, yeah, I'm all done with this book now. Like, it's here. Like, you guys can go read it. It exists, and it's fine that it exists, but it does not exist for me to consume or to speak about. And I'm all good with the rest of it.
I think that's perfectly valid. I think we need more acceptance of like when it's okay to put down a book, not even just from that, not even just from like being that extreme, but like if you're not having fun with a book, period, you shouldn't feel embarrassed or ashamed about like putting it down, starting to just be like, okay, I'm done with that. Let's read something
why
else.
does it gotta be a hot take? Yeah. Why does it gotta be a hot take to not like a book? Like, it's not an insult. Like, I'm one person.
Same thing with movies. Like,
one brain. Like, enjoy what you enjoy, but I don't want to.
Like, I love horror movies, but I'm not going to watch The Human Centipede. I think that's nasty.
I have a friend who has been trying to convince me for years to watch The Human Centipede too, and no, I won't.
I didn't make it through that one either. I didn't even get to the centipede.
I didn't even get.
It was just a human.
No, they. There's a point in the movie where like an IV gets ripped out of the arm, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gross. All right.
Yeah. And that's before Basta Mouth.
Ooh.
Oh.
Never good.
Well, we're past the hour mark. It was really great to have you guys on the show. You definitely are most welcome to come on any time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
My internet's been super awkward today, so I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm glad
it's all
I
good.
could jump on.
I think it's just StreamYard because mine's has been acting up too.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah, thanks so much for having us on. It's been a pleasure.
Been great.
And
not a problem.
Thanks for having us back.
Absolutely. Support MechaTon.
Sure.
It helps us make more stuff, including Frankenstein the Unconquered.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
It all feeds into itself. So
awesome. Well, I hope everyone has a good night, and we'll see y'all next week.
All y'all's links are in the description of this YouTube.
Yes, they are.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even if you guys want Frankenstein, go to Wells's website that I have down below, where you could buy that book as well, I think.
You can actually get it on the Kickstarter as an add-on as well.
Yep.
If you want